Good morning, students. This is the first lecture in the series of lectures in the subject VLSI technology. The subject is having the code KEC053. So, first lecture is Introduction to IC Technology. In this lecture, we will basically come to know the evolution of VLSI technology. Okay, and VLSI and IC are closely interrelated. Basically, IC means integrated circuits. Okay, so in order to fabricate integrated circuits, okay, VLSI technology is used. Okay. So let us start with this subject. So it all started with in the beginning of 21st century. Okay, so in present scenario, there are many machines and appliances around us. Okay, that were impossible to build without applying some electronics onto them. Okay, you all would be agree with that. Okay, so what are integrated circuits? Integrated circuits are basically large circuits which are manufactured on a very small semiconductor chip. Okay, so we have a very small semiconductor substrate, okay, onto which very complex circuits are designed. Okay, now there were very few transistors in early 1970s. Okay, and that has increased to billion of transistors on a single chip within a span of 40 years. Okay, so this is the advancement of IC technology. Okay, now let us consider the history. So first of all, it all started with the invention of transistor by 1947 by Barden, Britton, and Shockley. Okay, for this invention, they were awarded Nobel Prize as well. Okay, after that, in 1949, 2 years later, Shockley invented the first bipolar junction transistor. Okay, that you would be familiar with. After that, in 1956, first digital logic gate was introduced. Okay. Now, the concept of IC, integrated circuit, was given by Jack Kilby at Texas Instrumentation in 1958. Okay. He first designed a monolithic IC. Okay. The very first monolithic IC was designed by Jack Kilby. What is monolithic IC? Monolithic ICs are basically nothing but those ICs on which we use a substrate onto which various components are fabricated. Okay, so we have a common substrate in monolithic ICs. Now, first commercial IC were designed by a company called Fairchild Corporation in 1960. Okay, and after that, in 1962, first transistor logic IC was designed. Okay, first microprocessor was designed in 1972 by Intel Corporation. Okay, the name of that microprocessor was 4004. Okay, so this is your uh, short history of IC technology, evolution of IC technology. Now, as you can see that here, this is the first transistor that was built at Bell Laboratory. This is your first monolithic IC. that was built at Texas Instrumentations. This is your first transistor. Sorry, this is your first microprocessor 4004. Okay, and number of transistors in this microprocessors are around 2500, 2300. Okay, nowadays if I compare number of transistors in current processors, for example, let us consider the Intel Core i7 processor. So what are the number of transistors in this processor? In this small area, number of transistors are 2.6 billion transistors. Okay, so this was invented around 2016-17 around. Okay, so in the span of 50 years, okay, so number of transistors has increased dramatically. Okay, so this is basically the evolution of VLSI. So you have already know that in 1947 first transistor was introduced. In 1960 first MOSFET was invented. In 1963 that was CMOS was invented. In 1968 a single transistor DRAM cell was invented. In 1972 LSI was introduced. It stands for large scale integration. And from 1978 onwards, VLSI era is started. Okay, so this is basically the evolution of VLSI. Now, let us look at this table. So, this table basically defines the eras in IC technology. Okay, so IC technology is classified in several categories, among which VLSI is one of them. Okay, so starting from the year 1958 and 1960, when first monolithic IC was designed, in 1962 multifunction IC was designed. It was having 2 to 4 number of transistors, or you can say the level of integrations. In 1964 a complex function IC was designed, which was having 5 to 20 number of transistors or number of level of integrations. In 1967 medium scale integration MSI was introduced, in which various components were designed, various ICs were designed, which were having number of transistors 20 to 200. In 1972, LSI was introduced, in which number of transistors were 200 to 2000. And in 1978, VLSI, very large scale integration, was introduced, in which the number of transistors were from 2000 to 20,000. Okay. After that, in 1989, ultra large scale integration was introduced, in which transistors were about 20,000 on a single chip. Okay. So you can easily see that there is a increase in number of transistors as the years are increasing. Okay. Last two terms, VLSI and ULSI, okay, are basically used in induction. So we can easily say that in 1978 onwards, that is VLSI era. So in place of ULSI, generally the scientists and the students use VLSI. Okay, so ULSI is nothing but you can say VLSI. Okay, so it is a part of VLSI. Okay, next comes the concept called Moore's law. So Gordon Moore was basically the co-founder of Intel Corporation. Okay, in 1965, he predicted that number of devices on a single chip will double in every 2 years. Okay, what he said, number of devices on a single chip will double in every 2 years. Okay, now in the span of 50 years, starting from 1965, Gordon Murray's prediction is almost correct with a slight difference. The difference is that number of devices on a single chip will double in every 2 years. That was given by Gordon Murray. But actually, number of devices on a single chip were doubling at a rate in every 18 months. Okay, so in place of 2 years, that is 18 months. Okay, that is a slight modification in the Moore's law statement. Okay, so experts basically agrees that computers should reach the physical limits of Moore's law in 2020s. Okay, why? Because number of transistors cannot be increased infinitely. Okay, this is because as we increase number of transistors in a given particular area, okay, so the high temperature of transistors eventually would make it impossible to create smaller circuits. Okay, so this is because cooling down the transistors take more energy than the amount of energy that already passed through the transistors. Okay, so this is the practical implication in case of implementation of Moore's law. But in fact, Moore's law was correct, is correct till now. Okay, but as the year progresses, it will be ceased. Okay, now as you can see here, this is the graph between transistor count and years of progression. Starting with the first Intel 4004 processor, which was having 2300 transistors. Okay, in the year 2017, number of transistors are increasing continuously. Okay, in the year 2017, that is a AMD chip. Okay, it is having this much number of transistors. You can easily see that. Okay, so number of transistors are increasing. This is the detailed picture of number of transistors of various devices. Okay, in the year 2018, you can see here that that is GC2 IPU. Okay, so GC basically is nothing but the name of company. Okay, and IPU is nothing but intelligent processing unit. So these are the processors which are basically different from conventional processors. Okay, so this is the concept that is introduced here, and in this the number of transistors are around 30 billion. Okay, you can see that. Okay, so number of transistors are basically increasing starting from year 1970 or 1968. Okay, so this was the prediction of Moore's law. Okay, and that is correct till now. Okay, but it will go in saturation, it will be seized after few years. Okay, because of the reason that we discussed, that in order to cool the transistor, more energy is required. Okay, in comparison to the energy given to turn on that transistors. Okay, so This is the feature size. Feature size is nothing but, as you can easily see, that two things are happening starting from here 1970s. First, number of transistors are increasing on a IC. On a single chip, number of transistors are increasing, as well as the size of this IC is continuously decreasing. Okay, or you can say that you would know, in case of MOSFET, we have a channel length. Okay, this is your channel length in case of MOSFET. So this channel length or the dimensions of MOSFET are continuously decreasing. Okay, this is called transistor scaling. Okay, so we are continuously scaling the transistors. Okay, so you can see that we are continuously scaling the transistors. Okay, so these dimensions are nothing but the length of channel that is continuously decreasing. Okay, so length of channel means the dimensions of transistors are continuously decreasing. Okay, that's why we are able to append as many transistors on a single chip, because the dimensions are very less in case of transistors. Okay, so this is the basic IC manufacturing process. Okay, so first of all, we will discuss it later. First of all, silicon ingot are made. Okay, this is basically the single crystal silicon ingot. Okay, on which by slicing blank wafers are formed. Okay, now once these blank wafers are formed, so by doing some processing steps, we get patterned wafers. Okay, patterned wafers. Now we have dicer. So we basically divide these wafer into individual dies. Okay. Now die tester do the testing of individual dies. Okay. So one particular thing here you can see, this is your one particular die. Okay. So these dies are tested. These dies are tested. Okay. Suppose there are faults in these IC. Okay. Now bonds are die to the package. Okay, so these dies are converted into package. Okay, now part tester, in terms of pass tester, whatever dies are failed, that are removed from the production line. Okay, so rest of the remaining dies are bound to the package. Then again part tester basically tests the parts, and whatever the parts that are able to pass this test are shipped to the customer. So this is the basic steps in the process of manufacturing of ICs. Okay. So first step is uh, the process of getting single crystal silicon ingot. Okay. So how we get the single crystal silicon ingot, that we will discuss later. Okay. Now what are the advantages of monolithic ICs? So monolithic ICs are nothing but integrated circuits on which various components are manufactured on a single semiconductor substrate. Okay, so there are two types of ICs: monolithic ICs and your discrete ICs. Okay, so discrete ICs are nothing but we have n number of components. Okay, we do not use common platform for interconnection. In spite, we use interconnections like these. So we do not use common platform in this case. So these ICs are called discrete IC. So what are the advantages of monolithic IC over discrete IC? So there are very much examples like miniature in size. Okay, because using fabrication process you are fabricating active and passive components. Okay, so IC becomes very small. So when compared to discrete circuits, okay, so it is around 1,000 times smaller. This is very simple. Okay, so due to small size, weight of IC is also reduced. Okay, the cost of production is very less in comparison to discrete ICs if we compare them with number of devices that are built. Okay, so the PCB that you have seen here, PCBs are nothing but printed circuit boards. So in case of printed circuit board, there is a printed circuit board and various components are connected here. Okay. So there are basically interconnections in PCBs. This is the example of discrete IC. Okay. So the joints are basically not much reliable. Okay. So because in monolithic IC we have a single platform, single substrate. Okay. So interconnections are basically inside the IC. Okay. So this is the difference between monolithic and discrete IC. Okay. So here, due to the small size of ICs, lesser power consumption is there. Okay. Less power loss is there. Okay. Now in case of discrete circuits, discrete ICs, if a component of a circuit fails, the whole circuit will fail. Okay. But in case of integrated circuit, monolithic IC, the entire IC can be replaced. Okay, the operating speed is increased. Okay, so there are very much examples, very much advantages of using monolithic ICs. Okay, now here comes the disadvantages of monolithic ICs. Okay, so monolithic ICs disadvantages are poor isolations between components. Okay, no possibility of fabrication of inductors. Okay. So inductors cannot be fabricated using in monolithic ICs because inductors are larger in size. Okay. Low power rating is there. A small range of values of passive components used in ICs. So the passive components that are used in ICs are a small range values of a small range. Okay. Less of flexibility in circuit design. Okay. So there is lesser flexibility. So these are some disadvantages of uh, your monolithic ICs. Okay. Now, in this lecture, we discussed basically the introduction of history of IC technology and somewhat evolution of VLSI design. Okay. Then we discussed Moore's law. Okay, and advantages and disadvantages of monolithic ICs we also discussed. Okay, so this was all about in this lecture. Thank you.